This daf Yerushalmi Challah. The article Oz V'Hara edition. We're on daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph at the Mishnah Halacha Daled, which means also that we are in the Vilna at the beginning of Halacha Daled in the Mishnah, which is on Zayin Amud Beis. So the Mishnah says, Isa shetchilaso suvganin, a dough which began being suvganin, in other words, began with a soft batter. So we're going to end off with a soft batter, but that means that it was fried in honey or in oil and cooked in water. So the tchila is the batter, the sofa is the mode of cooking. P'tur mechalot zeh mechalot. Tchilasa isa, whatever that happened, it started out of a soft batter. I'm sorry, it's a hard batter, it's a regular batter, it's a regular dough. Sofa suvgani, and it ended up that you cooked it in the mode which you cook the suvganim, which is fried in the oil or the honey and or cooked in water. Or tchilasa suvganin, it started off being soft batter, the sofa isa, and then you baked it in an oven. So chayav es mechala. All those cases are chayav mechala. B'chein haknub ka'os. This is I wrote on the side of my Gemara like matzah balls. They are made of bread which was then crumbed, and they made it a food which is, I guess, normally made for children. It's considered bread, and it's chayav in challah. Chayavos hamiisa, which is flour in which you put in boiling hot water, so that the Yerushalmi Potrim, Yerushalmi says that you're exempt from challah, hachalita. This is where you pour boiling hot water on flour. So Yerushalmi says chayiv in challah, or Beis Hillel pater from challah. Gemara explains, probably also Psalm Daf Lamed Zayin, he says that the two Tanoim, and the who argued with Hajr, and the one who said the halacha Misa did not say the halacha of Chalita. One Tana holds that both Misa and Chalita Beis Shammai exempted B'Sil Chayev, and the other Tana holds that Chalita and also Meisa Beis Shammai Mechayim B'Sil Pater. Chalos Toda, the chalos which a person brings a korban toda brings together with his korban, and Rikiki Nazir. These are also loaves which are brought with a Nazir's korban. Ason la'atzmo poter. If you made them for the purpose of a toda or purpose of a Nazir, they're exempt because since they're kadosh b'kedushas damim, even before the korban is shechter, they're consecrated. Or perhaps some say because even you didn't consecrate them, because when you made the dough, you made it for the purpose of hekdesh, so they are precluded from the pasuk which says ariso sechem, which precludes arisas hekdesh. But if you made them to sell in the marketplace, then you're chayav, because then if you don't find a person's chayav korban toda or a person's chayav korban nazir to sell to, you're going to sell it to anybody you can. So therefore, it's not considered to be intrinsically made for the purpose of hekdesh. Chada Isa says, Chada Isa Shalos or Rimona. A woman asked her Rimona, begin Ana Boil Mebat Atzvasi Itri. I want to make my Atzvasi means my dough. Itri, in modern Hebrew, Itri means noodles. But here it means like sufganim, soft batter. Mal de Yinsivate Petur Mechala. Can I then bake the part of it, which won't have the shear of challah, and to be part of the mechala? Amarlose said, Lomalo, why not? You are part of Mechala. Asa Shoel Avoy. So Rabbi Mona, after he gave the answer, he came and asked his father, Rabbi Yonah. Amarle Aser, no, it's forbidden. Shematim Elchos Isa, because she might decide to change her mind and make the entire thing dough. So therefore, she has to take off challah. I assume she does not have bracha, because it's only because we're afraid, like with Migdal Milsa, maybe she's going to change her mind completely. Initially, she thought anyway, she changed her mind partially. Then she's going to make it completely so better. Then she changed mind, said, well, part of it going to actually bake it, and then perhaps she's going to change her mind all the way. So therefore, she has to take off challah. Okay, the Mishnah said knuvkaos chayovas. So in the article here, there's a line which is in brackets, which is not in the Vilna. Amra, Rabbi Shimon Levi, in the brackets here, it says, Amra Karm Bitas. Habichania ben Agol b'Shem Chisim are Booker Lata. So, whatever these things are, these are different interpretations of what they are. I think that in the Vilna, this line might appear later on. Anyway, the Marav Fulda says to move it here. Be as it may, these different, they don't help us much. There's different definitions of what the word means. But we say it's kind of matzah ball. And the Chiddush, as Gemara says, well, what's the Chiddush? Chiddush is that why is it Shlo Tomer? I shouldn't say Hoil Vosila Zila Solta since Chutz Pasha should be chayiv, right? Because it's bread. You grind up the bread, make breadcrumbs out of it. It's bread, so obviously it was chayiv mechala. So the Chiddush is Shlo Tomer. You shouldn't say Hoil Vosila Zila Solta since you're going to grind it up, make it for flour again. Take P'tur Min Challah, so it should be part from challah, right? So it's matzah meal, obviously. When you made the matzah originally, it's still chayiv and challah, even though you're going to grind it up afterwards and make a meal out of it, and then you might make a matzah ball sales, which is potter from hamotzi, but it doesn't matter. Since originally it's bread, it's just better chayiv and challah. Amar Rabbi Bar Zavda, said, Isas Mavrin is chayiv and challah. So, according to some unfortunately changed it to Machrin, but Mavrin is for Lashon and Shmuel, Shmuel Beis Gimel Hey with Amnon and Tamar, where there's a plot to get Tamar into Amnon's room secluded, and she was supposed to be Osta Le'enes Abriya. He asked for Tamar to make for him a special meal called a bria, which is a kind of a latka, which is evidently it's chayiv mechala. So the again, it must be the same type of thing where they would make it, grind it down, take bread, grind it down, and then they would fry it and cook it afterwards. And they're saying Shelo Tomar Hova Silach Zila Solta, since you're going to, again, it's going to be made back into a flour and then remade into this liviva. There should be potter, if there's latka, it's be potter min challah. Kamash on there, it's chayiv min challah. Okay, Rav Amar, he says kuta chayiv challah. Now this is a dough which you make very sour, so you can't eat it as is, and you bake it and you then crumb it up and you put it into a kutach in order to spice up the kutach. So it's not really eaten like bread. It's eaten like a spice, but it should be, you might consider to be tafel to the kutach. Nevertheless, Rav says it was a bread. It was true. It's a bread which people would eat as is, but it's chayav as a challah. Why would that be? So it's not suitable to eat initially, only as part of the kutach. So the Gemara says, because you might decide to make it a white cake, a cold cake, before it comes sour. The Bavli, a very famous Bavli in the Brachos Davlam Zayin, famous because the Brachos, says it's only if it's made as bread, it's chayav mechal. If you made it like boards, and actually properly knead it or form it, so then it's potter. Amar Mara said, we have to make an announcement. Those people who make avitzin, that they're making a dough with milk and with flour, and they make part of it into something which looks like bread. The yon avdilon pachas mishir, that they bake part of it, which is less than a shear, but nevertheless they have to they have to take off chayav from all of it. Like, very similar to what his father Rabbi Yonah said to him before. The Yitzarvin Shibtura, they hold its potter, chayavis, but you might they is chayav because they might come to make it actually from the proper the amount, the proper amount. That was based on maybe Yerushalmi, but it's from the Rat story. The article this goes on more literal pshat, which is more difficult, which is that the year after the they should make it less than a shear. In other words, each dough they should make less than a shear. The unservant sheep because they think it's part of it to chayiv. So the eitzah is to actually make a small amount of each. And even though normally you wouldn't say that, I guess that I don't guess he brings down here for the Marafulda that avitzim is only chayiv and chalam midrabanan. So I might have said you can make less than a shear, and even l'chatchila. But I think it's more simple to say, similar to what Rabbi Yonah said before, named Rabbi Yonah, that they think they can make it less than a shear, and if it's butter, but we're afraid they're going to make it a shear. There's an obvious question here, which I don't see offhand anybody dealing with, which is that you're not allowed to make milchik bread. So I guess this was made differently. It was somehow it wasn't baked normally, and there's some hecker in it that really was not either was known that it was milchik, and one of the ways which makes it mutter. But there is the article does bring down different pshat that is some sort of other type of knelach, which is not necessarily with milk. Okay, the next part of the Mishnah, I have to next part of the Gemara, I have to go back to the Mishnah a minute and clarify something which I didn't clarify properly in the Mishnah, which is by both chalita and meisa, you're going to bake the dough afterwards. The question is though, since you kneaded the dough with hot water, perhaps it's already considered to be cooked then, and the baking afterwards is not going to make it back into bread again. It's already considered to have been cooked dough and therefore potter. Now, which is more likely to be potter? So we have a spritz of tatar gavar. Tatar gavar teaches that whenever the heat source is on the bottom, it's more effective when the heat source is on top than the ilah gavar. So therefore, if you're going to drop flour into hot water, it's more likely to be a cooking process than when you drop the hot water on the flour. So that leads to Gemara then has a problem here. The verse will explain. What's meisa? We put the hot water into the flour, which is less likely to be a complete cooking process. Chalita is kemach tochamin. Chalita is they put the flour into the water, which is much more of a cooking process. So now we have a counterintuitive problem in our Mishnah. Isachami come and say nechlato kol tzorka. If it's completely cooked, meaning that you put the flour into the hot water, Mesham it says still chayim mechalak because it's still considered to be bread and not cooked dough. If it wasn't completely cooked, where you put the hot water on the flour, Beshamai potrim, they're going to exempt. Counterintuitive. That's why you're right. Yes, Rabbi Shem Chizkiah, Shem Rabbi Chia, Shem Rabbi Yesha said, Shaitan Mishon, so two different Talmidim. In other words, really Beishamai is consistent. The question of what the consistency is. Either Beishamai are both pot or both chayiv. You can't say, the way our Mishnah says, that the more cooked one will be potter and the less cooked one will be chayiv. That doesn't make any sense. And so similarly, Rabbi Am Shem Yechon said, David Zalachti Eitz Rabbi Yoshia, Ruba Kisoy Varoli Shnei Talmidim Shonu. So two different Talmidim learned it, and whoever is chayiv, it's consistent across the board. Doesn't whoever says chayiv is chayiv, but both whoever says potter is potter by both. Chachomer mean look to say look to say. This is the end of Tosef. The Chacham argue. They say both by Misa and Beibach and by Chalita. If you went back and you baked it in an oven, it's called bread and Chayim Challah. It doesn't matter if you cook the dough first or not. Nefer Betanu Chayav. If it's baked in an oven, it's Chayav. But Ilfas there, if you finished up in a pot, two different types of pot, it's potter. Okay, and the Gemara is going to go on with this, but I think we're already on Yud Daled Amud Aleph. Yeah, so we'll stop here for today.